A very good morning to all the students of class 7. My name is Prerna and I'm your English teacher. And today from your English book Skyline, we are going to read chapter number 3. So tell me, how many of you often refrain yourself, or how many of you are sometimes lazy to do something or fearful of doing something? Maybe because you feel, oh, this is very difficult, I cannot do this, I am not capable of doing this. Whether it's a physical task, whether it is a mental task, sometimes it happens with us that we stop ourselves from doing something, from at least trying something, because we build in our minds, we build up this notion that this is a very difficult task and this is completely impossible for me. Not just difficult, but this is completely impossible for me, so I just cannot do it. So what happens when we build up this notion? We stop our growth without even letting this thought come to us, that because we've not tried something, saying that it is impossible to do, we stop ourselves from growing as an individual. Why I'm discussing this is because this chapter number 3, talks about a girl who is facing a medical condition and what is the impact of that medical condition on her life, and how she does not take that medical, she does not uses that medical condition to make excuses from learning new things. That is what this chapter is all about. So let us start reading this chapter and understand how it is very easy to make excuses, but how courageous it is to overcome our fears that we have built in our mind and then really grow as an individual. So here we go. This is chapter number 3, as I told you, and the name of the chapter is On Being Sarah. Like I discussed that this girl is undergoing a medical condition. Let us, through the introduction of the chapter, understand that what was the medical condition this girl was undergoing. This story is about a young girl who suffered from cerebral palsy, a medical condition usually caused by brain damage before or at birth that causes the loss of control of movement in the arms and legs. So imagine this person who suffers from cerebral palsy cannot move at all, neither the arms nor the legs. Here the authoress focuses on the girl's physical challenges and shows that when the people around her are helpful and sensitive, her difficulties do not restrict her. Let us read the story. So this girl, Sarah, she suffered from cerebral palsy, because of which she was never able to move her arms or her legs. Sarah was a young girl who suffered from cerebral palsy, a medical condition which confined her to a wheelchair and hindered her ability to communicate verbally. At 12, she often reminisced about how it had been when she was younger. So the first paragraph of the story tells about the medical condition that Sarah is Sarah suffered from, and the problem was not only the fact that she could not move her arms or her legs, but also the fact that she could not communicate, she could not enunciate the words that she wanted to say. What is the meaning of the word reminisce? To recall past experiences. So Sarah is thinking about the time about her childhood. So what was the problem in her childhood? Whenever she tried to talk, only sounds like would come out. So she was not able to say proper words. These sounds had meant nothing to others, but for her, they had been the innumerable questions that she kept asking herself, but could not give them the form of words to be able to receive an answer. There had always been so much she wanted to communicate, but like a bottleneck, the words remained stuck in her brain due to lack of an outlet. So, Sarah was also not able to communicate like other people did. Tirelessly, she would try to say a word but would tremble inside when she heard only the sound and no words at all. She had felt like a spectator who could only watch the world around her but never be a part of it. Now, imagine a situation when you wanted to say something but you were not allowed to. How bad you felt, how suffocated you felt at that time. Oh, someone at least listen to my viewpoint also. Someone at least listen to what I want to say. Now imagine this girl, Sarah, suffered for this condition of not being able to say what she wanted to for so many years. No one, perhaps not even her parents, expected her to lead a normal life. Disheartened, she would sometimes hide her face in the crook of her arm and sob silently. But at no cost she ever stopped trying to speak. She was determined. So there were situations when Sarah knew that everyone had given up on her. Sometimes even she would give up and say that this is never going to happen. I might not be able to speak ever. Forget about moving. But deep down she was very much determined. She was very much sure of this thing, that someday at least I will be able to speak. At least I'll be able to speak out the words. I'll be able to express what is there in my heart. Mrs. Brady would come to Sarah's house twice a week to give her some exercise. During this time, she often mentioned the other children she worked with. However, these other children had never seemed real to Sarah. She had never actually believed that there were many who suffered the same fate as hers. So Sarah, while she was getting treatment by Mrs. Brady, so this doctor, Mrs. Brady, she would tell Sarah that, Sarah, don't worry. There are a lot of children like you on whom I have worked upon. I've given them these exercises through which they were able to gradually talk. But Sarah always felt that Mrs. Brady was only cooking up stories. How is it possible? Because Sarah never met someone like her. So she never believed that there were other people in the world as well who suffered from cerebral palsy. Once Sarah started school, a new world opened for her. She was introduced to symbols which became her tool of communication. It was like seeing the sun after walking through a long, dim tunnel. So, as they say that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So, no matter at this point of time how much difficult the situation is, gradually a time will come. Time will come when all your problems will be solved. This is exactly what Sarah felt, that after struggling for so many years, now finally she was able to communicate using symbols, using a sign language. Just like her teacher said, symbols do what talking does. Sarah could now express her thoughts, feelings, ask questions, and get the answers with the help of these symbols. Although Sarah was aware she would never be able to eliminate the existence of a wheelchair from her life or ever speak an understandable word, learning symbols gave a new meaning to her life. Knowing the fact that Sarah would never be able to move around on her own, she had to be on that wheelchair all her life, and knowing that she will not be able to speak words properly like other people do, still Sarah was deep down, she was really happy that at least I have symbols using which I can communicate. She was stimulated with a sense of purpose and even began to feel normal, learning and growing the way other children did. Someday, even Sarah Bennett was going to be somebody. So now Sarah felt that her life had some purpose. She did not feel that her life is useless or she as a person is useless. So she felt that if I am born into this world, I can surely do something with my life. I can surely do something constructive with my life. Sarah's teacher made a symbol board for her to use at school. It had to close it had close to 300 symbols. Sarah personally chose the symbol for a set of printed symbol stands. The symbols were arranged in different categories to make them easier to use. People and things were in one group and they were colored yellow. Symbols of all action words or the be, that is the verbs, they were in green, and those that expressed feelings were placed together in blue. One row was left empty for future use. So you can see there's a symbol chart here. So what was how learning symbols became easier for Sarah, that she had segregated things into different categories. So let's say the people and the things, they were in one group and they were of yellow color. Then the action words or the verbs, they were into green color, and the feelings, angry, happy, sad, confused, all these were in blue color. And then there was an empty row which was kept for future use. Sarah's mother had made a similar board in her kitchen so that they could practice together. So how Sarah's mother was supporting Sarah in learning how to communicate through symbols. She had printed the word for each symbol so that people who did not know these symbols could understand what was being said. She also stuck the pictures of her family members along with their names at the top of her board. The title of the board read, "My name is Sarah Bennett. I communicate with bliss symbols." What is the meaning of the word bliss symbols? It means a set of meaning based symbols which can be used by people with difficulties in speaking. So then what happened? Some of the symbols Sarah's mother had put up were still there. Sarah's new board was full of smaller symbols as there were so many, but she didn't find it challenging to learn them. After all, she said to herself, "I can see." Just above the symbols, the letters of the alphabet were tidily written in a row. In the upper corner of the board was a big symbol for no and yes. So for no, there was this symbol, a colon, and then there was a hyphen, and then there was yes, which was denoted through two dots and a plus sign respectively. Sarah liked these the best. All right. So you can see that there were certain symbols. Through the symbol chart, Sarah was able to communicate now. Sarah wanted her mother to repeatedly narrate to her what had happened when she was a baby. Tell her the story of why she couldn't walk or talk. Talking about it helped Sarah accept the reality. So now Sarah wanted to come out of that mode of self-pity. So she asked her mother that how Sarah had developed cerebral palsy. Sarah's mother would patiently explain that either at the time of birth or before it, a part of Sarah's brain may have been injured, or her brain may not have developed as it should have. It was not possible for the doctors to identify the exact cause. However, the outcome was that Sarah's brain could not send the right signals to most of her muscles, and this was the reason that she could not move her arms or her legs. Therefore, they could not move properly, and that included the muscles she would need for talking. Sarah's mother had elaborated. So Sarah's mother, she gave her entire details in an elaborative manner, in a very explained manner. Sarah's mother told that there are some people with cerebral palsy who can walk quite well, while most, though unclearly, can talk too. Fortunate people, Sarah said to herself. Mom, Could you again tell me about the time when I was a baby? Sarah was asking her mom now. And how was Sarah doing that? She was using those symbols to ask these questions. Her mother was expecting this request. She kindly nodded and said, "Compared to other babies, you moved around less, but you were an angel, dear." "And what about that doctor?" Sarah asked with her symbols. "Ah, when that doctor informed me that you had cerebral palsy and he discovered you could not speak too, he warned me that you would never be able to learn much." So now the doctor said that this girl, Sarah, who's born into this world with cerebral palsy, she will never be able to learn anything on a large scale. "Damn doctor," Sarah wanted to say, but there was no symbol for dumb in that sense. So using the letters at the top of her board, she spelled it dumb. "Actually, Sarah," her mother continued, "it is easy for anyone to jump to conclusion that a person who can't speak isn't very smart. And in reality, there are some cerebral palsy children who aren't bright, but of course, you will find some otherwise normal people who aren't very smart either." So now Sarah's mother is telling that people are very judgmental. "Oh, this person is suffering from a particular disease. This person is not smart. This person is doesn't have very high IQ." But probably a person who's not suffering from any disease can also be of a very low IQ. "And what do you think about me, mother?" So now Sarah is asking her mother. "You always appeared quite smart to us, but we were unsure of what you could do and how. But we are sure of one thing, and that is we didn't want you to be deprived of any opportunity." So look at the amount of support that Sarah's mother is giving to her daughter. So she's saying that we knew that it's going to be difficult for you to learn something, but we always knew that you had the capability to learn a lot of things, and we had not wanted that any opportunity to learn new things should be taken away from you. Deprived means something that is a privilege or maybe an opportunity that is given to other some people, but it is taken away from some other people. "And look, mother," Sarah said jubilantly, happily, "with my symbols, I can say almost anything I want." "Yes, dear, the words were always alive in your head." That means Sarah was a very expressive person. It was just a matter of finding a way to get them out. So, in this beautiful story, what is it that the authoress is trying to tell? The authoress is trying to tell us that we all have the capability to learn anything and everything around, that we have around us. The only thing that we need to have is that courage to try at least learning that thing. So the next time you think, "Oh, this is very difficult, this subject is very difficult, I can't do this," think about this girl Sarah, who could not speak, who could not walk, but how she was determined to learn how to communicate. Thank you so much.